We have a very special guest in studio today. She is here from Nashville, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Nashville.
She is a country music singer, the great and powerful Savannah Rae. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Squeezing us in here on your little St. Louis tour, I guess you're going on right now?
Yeah, we have an event tonight over at Anheuser-Busch Brewery called St. Louis Nights, and they asked me to come out there and play a few songs, and we're really excited to be here. This is actually my first time performing in St. Louis. So.
Oh, cool. So have you ever been here before?
I have a few times just kind of in and out on the road and such, and so I love it here. My dad actually used to live here, so we're kind of familiar.
Okay.
Cool.
Very nice. So, yeah, sorry we missed you down in Nashville a couple weeks ago. You were just coming back from a show then, too?
Yeah, just kind of out and about. I spend a lot of time in Nashville, and then also, too, I'm originally from Texas, from San Antonio, Texas, and so I kind of go back and forth there a bunch.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how'd you get into music?
So I got into music at a really young age, around maybe 10 or 11. None of my family is musical by any means. Sorry, mom and dad, but they don't really do a whole lot of music. But they love music and have a vast appreciation for it. And so it started taking me to concerts and different music festivals. And I just kind of fell in love with, the whole vibe of it all. And I remember specifically going to an Evanescence show when I was around 11 years old and seeing Amy Lee up on stage, she has an incredible voice. Oh, so good. Yeah. And so I remember seeing her and I told my mom, I was like, I want to be like her. I want to do what she's doing. And then thankfully my parents took me really seriously though when I said that and enrolled me into vocal lessons and guitar lessons. And around age 12, I had my first full band show and it's just kind of been nonstop from there. And fixing to turn 27 here now, so
Wow.
more than half my life.
That's
crazy.
15 years.
Yeah,
It's wild.
I mean, most people don't even know who they are at 11 or 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What did music awaken in you at that age that you've been chasing ever since?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, there's a lot of different languages in the world. Everybody communicates differently. However, I think music is kind of the one that bridges that gap between everybody. Even if you're listening to something in a language you don't speak, there's still emotion behind it. You can still feel something. Like, for example, Spanish. I'm Mexican. My last name is Garza. And so a big influence of mine is Selena. And obviously, growing up, I didn't know what she was saying, but listening to her stuff, I was like, "Wow, I really like it." Later on, I finally eventually figured out, "Oh, that's what she's saying." But, it just spoke to me back then, and I was like, "Man, I really like that." So it's a universal language of sorts.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember playing professional baseball with all the Latino players that would come in from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, even some guys from Asia and from China, Japan, Taiwan, or Thailand, and all these areas. That's how they learned English.
Mm-hmm.
They would just listen to music.
Yeah.
So it's pretty incredible, the power of music and how it can help move people through life. So
100%.
So kind of going back to how you growing up in this. So you had your first show at 12. Like when did you really kind of like start taking it like seriously? Like I'm gonna make a career out of this. I'm gonna do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you don't really know exactly who you are when you're that young. But I did really love music. And that was kind of something that I was like, okay, I think I'm really going to go for this. And I was 12 years old when I kind of decided that. Granted, that's really impressionable years. And so I've done a lot of different types of music. I haven't always done country rock that I do now. I've dabbled a little bit in pop. I dabbled a little bit in rock, R&B, Broadway. Like I've done a lot of random music just because I have a vast appreciation for music in general, and I like so many different types of music. One of my favorite songs in the world is "Run" by George Strait. It is a BPM of 2, and it's so slow. And then my other favorite song is "Kickstart My Heart" by Motley Crue. So it's like it's
two opposites.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it took me a little bit to really figure out what I wanted to do and what I wanted to say, what I wanted my music to sound like, and all that. So that took me a bit, but I think I kind of always knew that I wanted to do music.
how do you feel like you've grown as a singer and songwriter since you started?
Well, kind of to that point that I just made of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to say, what I wanted my music to say and such. Growing up, like I said, very impressionable. I was kind of doing this, kind of doing that, just having a good time. And then when you reach, 18-ish, you finally, the frontal lobe kind of gets going a little bit more. And at least for me, and I was like, okay, I think I want to hone in on this. I want to hone in on this sound. I want to hone in on, country rock, a little bit of edge to that, kind of like Miranda Lambert meets Co Wetzel, Jelly Roll, Hardy kind of vibes. And then there's not a lot of people, especially females, that are doing that in Nashville, Texas, that I know of. And so I was like, okay, well, there's a lane, wide open for me to play the music that I want to play, and hopefully people will listen to it and like it. But it took a little bit to get there, not gonna lie. But I think eventually I kind of settled. Okay, this is what we're doing, and we're just gonna full steam ahead until something happens. We'll see.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I think that's something you said something that made me think about it, but I feel like that's something you're seeing more recently, where you're seeing a lot of artists not pigeonhole themselves into like
Mhm.
one genre.
Right.
Like you said, Jelly Roll. Like I remember when I was in high school, Jelly Roll was a rapper.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You thought
Mhm.
you heard Jelly Roll, I thought it was like rap.
Right.
And now you think Jelly Roll, it's like could be rap, could be, I mean, mostly like country,
Mhm.
like more like rock. And then there's guys like MGK, kind
Yeah.
of same thing.
Same
Like
thing.
they're kind of evolving and changing,
Right.
or not pigeonholing themselves into things. But then every once in a while, MGK will drop a rap song like out
Yeah.
of nowhere, and then
Mhm.
he'll do like a pop punk, like
Right.
Blink-182 sounding album, and then I think it's so cool how like artists are just not pigeonholing themselves into one specific genre, and I think that's
Right.
kind of like a new revolution in like the music industry, at least that
Mhm.
Well, I
we're
mean,
seeing that we didn't really see before.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look at Taylor Swift. She started
Yeah.
off country,
Right.
and now, I mean, you can't call what she does country.
Yeah, but she is,
No.
the biggest
Right.
pop star in the
Absolutely.
world.
Right.
Absolutely.
And to Jelly Roll, he does the hip hop, he does the country, but then he just also started doing some Christian music. He had that
Mhm.
collaboration with Brandon Lake,
Yeah.
which is really great too. So it's I'm all for bridging the gap between different genres and such, because that's what I grew up listening to. I grew up listening to George Strait, but I also grew up listening to Deftones.
Yeah.
So it's like it goes back and forth. Like I would actually say that I probably listen to metal a lot more than I listen to country, and I'm a country artist.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Like my favorite band is Bad Omens, Bring Me the Horizon.
Ooh, yes. I
Yeah.
was jamming to Bring Me on the way here.
Yeah, that's like my vibe. Me and my family went to Louder Than Life back in September in Kentucky, and that was a hell of a lineup. It's crazy,
bet.
crazy. But it was awesome, and that's the kind of music that I listen to. And I think also too, as far as like country music goes, I think that a lot of people and a lot of artists, I feel like, are getting a little bit more honest. Like I like to talk about Jelly Roll often because he's very honest in his music and very, it's deep, dark, and depressing sometimes.
Yeah.
But that is kind of
But it's the truth.
yeah, it's
You know,
it's
if
a
you-
reality. It's relatable because a lot of people can see themselves in that, and I really appreciate that. And I feel like country music for a long time has just been, either happy go lucky or I'm on the beach or the other side of just tear my beer, my girl left me and my dog died,
Yes.
sort of thing. And it's like the classic,
Classic
country
country song,
stereotypes, which
I'm gonna talk
Don't
about
get me
fishing.
wrong.
I'm going to talk about my truck. I'm
I
going to
love
talk
it.
about a bush light,
yeah,
or whatever
exactly.
it is.
Yeah, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's great. It's why I love country music. But also at the same time, it's nice to see artists such as that start bringing up different subjects, such as depression, such as drugs, such as just mental health issues, stuff that people really don't talk about that much in country music. So it's nice to see because in metal,
Yeah.
that's talked about
It's
every
sad
second
boy
song.
stuff, like I always laugh and call it sad boy music, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
But it's like my favorite kind of music.
Yeah, exactly. It's relatable, and so I like that country is kind of delving into a more deeper path in that regard.
Yeah.
Well,
For sure.
and now I think you're starting to see a resurgence too of like like Stephen Wilson Jr. like
Mhm.
doing more of that storytelling in his music where
Right.
it's more call it ballady. I don't. I mean,
Mhm.
but anyway, I mean, like his new song that he just came out with, singing about a guy named Gary. Like and it's awesome. I love it. I mean, it's just simple and
Mhm.
I mean, his voice is incredible. And then
Oh yeah,
what he did on
It's great.
at the CMA with Stand By Me. I don't know if you saw
I
that.
didn't.
Oh man, he crushed it.
yeah,
It was really
yeah.
good.
He's great.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but like that's like we've been seeing a lot of that. I feel like that's been coming back too. Is not so much like, I mean, kind of like a Zach Bryan in a sense too. I think that's
Mhm.
how he is. More storytelling and not so much
Sure.
rhyming and things like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, I mean, I just think there's so much that you can do with music that it's. I don't know, one of my I listen. I constantly have something going on all the time, whether it's rap, rock, country, mainly country.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I think back, like music's had just such a huge impact in my life. I mean, that's honestly like what me and my wife, like when we first started dating in high school, like it just started by us like sending each other songs that we liked,
Mhm.
and then like here we are 15 years later.
Right.
You know,
That's
like-
the thing, going through that emo phase.
Oh,
and
I
then-
still haven't left the emo
Yeah.
phase.
Oh yeah, I'm still there. Still
I'm what
there.
they refer to as an elder emo.
Yeah. Exactly.
Got me through middle school.
Yeah.
Parts of high school.
Got me through
Yep.
the real estate industry.
Oh yeah.
So, if you could think back to like your very first gig and then
Mhm.
your most recent gig, what would you
Right.
say the biggest difference is between like how you show up,
Mhm.
like mentally?
Sure. I mean, back in the day, like I said, I had my first full band show when I was 12, and I was a ball of nerves. I was, a disaster. It's so funny too because that I chose this industry because I had the worst stage fright ever. I was the shyest kid in the room. In kindergarten, I would literally not speak to anyone because I was so shy. And I don't know what possessed me to want to be a singer up on stage in front of people. Like that, it makes no sense, but whatever. I guess I wanted to live outside my comfort zone or something. I don't know. I was strange at 11, but I just loved music. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Let's see. And so I think back then it was just about me getting through the show and not passing out on stage until I finally got over that stage fright and I was able to, really like sit back and enjoy things and, be like, okay, this is what I love. I'm loving what I'm doing up here. And I think that, nowadays when I play shows and such, it's really fun for me personally because, like I said, I'm country rock. I like a big sound. I like upbeat. I like heavy guitar, drums, the whole 9 yards. And so typically, I'll have my band with me, and so it's always fun to be on stage with them because we have just a good relationship. So we can just have a good time for an hour and a half, and we can just kind of forget about what may be going on in our personal lives or the road ahead or the next show or whatnot. So for an hour and a half, minus the fact I got to make sure that I'm not screwing it up and I'm remembering my words and everything. It's a nice stress relief, at least for me, a nice way of just like letting go of whatever I got going on around me.
What's that adrenaline rush like on stage?
It's great, and I mean, being an independent artist, you have shows that, like, for example, one day I was playing to 3 people in the middle of Wisconsin, just no one in the crowd, and we were just having a good time nonetheless, but, no one there, just pretty much playing to ourselves. And then the next night I played Country Fest in Wisconsin as well, opening up for Jason Aldean for thousands of people. So it's like, it goes from moments that humble you to moments that, wow, this is really cool, sort of thing. So it's especially as independent artists, that's kind of what we go through. But it's so fun to, like, for the bigger shows and such, that you get to have fun on stage, but it's also fun to see the crowd have fun with you. And like I said, I can kind of forget about what's going on in my life or anything that I may be going through just as much as they may be also feeling that same way. And they really, at least as far as the crowds that I play for, have really like connected with the music, have a good time. Some of them are sloshed and just won't remember any of it, right. But they're having a good time, and that's pretty much all that matters to me. And I'm just happy to be there, pretty much.
Awesome. Well, as an independent artist, I mean, you're having to do the business side as well as be the creative. How do you balance those two? The creativity and the strategy to business.
Sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize of just how much work goes into being an independent artist, because it's not just making music and putting it out there. I kind of wear a lot of different hats, from the social media to the content creation to the marketing of that content, to, if I'm selling merch, got to come up with merch, got to pay for merch, got to either, some artists don't songwrite, some artists do. I songwrite, and I like to have a hand in obviously all the music that I create. And so, but finding, either if you don't songwrite, finding songs to sing, finding songs that, speak to you, or if you do songwrite, having some sort of creative, space to be able to put pen to paper and whatnot and come up with something, and then recording the song, putting it out there, hoping that people like it. And then also it comes to branding, as far as how you present yourself, the clothes you wear, to, what your social media looks like. And then also trying to come up with new ideas of how to promote your music, especially in today's day and age where a lot of things are not organic. If you see something go viral, chances are it's not organically, people will, throw $10,000 at a video just hoping that it does something. And for an indie artist, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and it's there's so many different hats that you have to wear, and so many things that I don't think people realize, especially in Nashville, just to record music in general. The going rate is about $2,500 to $4,500 a song. And that's one song. That's one singular song just to get the song recorded. That's not marketing budget. That's not, you know, promotional anything.
Just for the audio
That's
file.
just for the audio file. That's not music video, graphics. That's not cover art. That's not any sort of we call them, they're kind of like music videos, but they're more for like reels or TikTok and whatnot, like 15 to 30 seconds of just kind of
Or like the
different,
things you see on Spotify.
yeah, like the
roll through.
canvases
Yeah.
and that different stuff. So it's like, and that's, you know, $3,000 average just to have a song. And so, you know, that's why you see people that are like, support your local indie artists, because
Sure.
it's tough. And obviously you can get that price down. And, you know, if you know somebody, or, you know, you have a buddy that plays guitar, that he'll do it for a couple $100s, you know, sort of thing. And so, but that's kind of the average, the going rate. And it's just, it's unfortunate, you know, and it's even for the people that are signed, it's even more expensive. It's about $10,000 to $15,000 a song, which is why a label will give you $200,000 to go record an album or something, which is a loan. It's not, you know, they're not giving you that,
Right.
but you know, it's a loan to basically go and record that album, and that's how much the album costs. And you just hope that
It does.
it
that
does
or
well.
more.
Right.
Yeah, because if it doesn't, you know, and it only sells $100,000 worth of something, well, now you owe your label $100,000, and then they give you another $250,000 to go record an album. And if that one doesn't do well, you just keep stacking them up,
Yeah, you're
you
in
know,
the
sort of
hole even
thing.
more. Wow.
It's a tough industry.
Yeah. So what's that path like? I mean, because, you know, I think how I'm sure it's different now with social media, you know,
Right.
with being an independent artist, you have the ability to, like, for millions of people to potentially see a clip or see a reel or something like that. Like, what does the path look like for, you know, for an independent artist? Like, how do they, you know, obviously you grow up, you play music, you're playing small shows in front of people. And then it seems like a lot of people move to Nashville because that's like kind of a music hub.
Right.
Right. And then are you just kind of playing shows there and hoping to kind of get discovered and be an opener for somebody, or how does it
Right.
work?
Yeah. So, I grew up, like I said, nobody in my family did music. Nobody even in my extended family does music or has anything related to music in general. A lot of people that you see in Nashville that are doing really well, the truth of the matter is that they either know somebody, they have some family member, some aunt that works at some label or some booking agency, or they have a lot of money to put behind them, because it is an expensive industry. You know, they have that financial stability to be able to go out there and record all their songs and promote all their songs. And that's why, you know, they'll probably skip a few years of the harder stuff. But if, like for me, for example, I just kind of started from the grassroots, and any connection that I've done or any show that I've played has pretty much just been from trying to pound the pavement and knock on doors and try to get as many people, you know, hearing who Savannah Rae is as I possibly can. And I also give a big shout out to my dad, who also helped me do that too, because my parents were the first big proponents of my music to help me, you know, get out there. And number one, just believe in me, but then also to get out there. So it's basically been me and my dad for the past however long. And other people have also jumped on to, you know, help me here and there and whatnot, but pretty much just him and I, just, like I said, pounding on doors, hitting the pavement, trying to get something going. And so just as you get, like through the years, as you start to get to know more people, make more contacts, you get like the shows that you play, you know, for the 3 people, and it is what it is. And then sometimes you get really lucky. I remember one of the biggest shows that I played, it is the biggest show that I played to date. I got that off an Instagram DM.
Really?
Yeah, I found a festival in El Paso called Way Out West Fest, and I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, would love to play sometime. I'm from Texas. Be super cool," you know,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Shooting your shot.
Literally, I didn't even think they were gonna see it. And they did actually, and so they were like, "Okay." I was like, "Wait, really?" And they were like, "Yeah,
shit.
yeah." And so that show was out Southwest University Park. It was completely sold out, about 10,000 people, and I opened up for John Party. And so that was probably one of the biggest shows of my career. And so, it's random little things like that, that just happen every so often. Sometimes there'll be 6 months in advance. Sometimes somebody will call me and be like, hey, can you be here in 3 days? I'm like, sure, yeah, I got it, sort of thing. And so really interesting opportunities like that will just kind of arise out of nowhere. But as far as, moving to Nashville and such, it's a tough place to live in. I lived in Atlanta, New York, and Los Angeles before living in Nashville. And LA, also a really tough place to live in. Granted, their country market isn't as big, so that's why I moved to Nashville. But Nashville is very reminiscent of LA. It's expensive. It's all the artists that I know have 2 or 3 other jobs just to be an artist. They wait tables or they bartend or something just to make ends meet, and they live in a place with 2 or 3 other people, 2 or 3 other roommates just to be able to be there in Nashville in the thick of it. For the dream, yeah, exactly. And if you're an artist, you don't have to really be in Nashville, but if you're a songwriter, it is kind of recommended to be in Nashville just because there's a lot of different shows, opportunities, writers' rounds, and then most of the music business for the country sphere is located in Nashville. So if you are signed or trying to get signed, that's where your publishing house will be. And, you'll have a full day's work, basically 2 or 3 4-hour writing sessions a day if you are a signed songwriter. Wow. And so that's why if you're a songwriter, be in Nashville. If you're an artist, maybe wait to go just because it is a tough place to live and everything. And then, a lot of people do get on Broadway, which is...
I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah, Broadway is our 6th Street, our Austin 6th Street. But it's a lot of fun. If you're a tourist,
yeah, we were just there. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I've never been there before, and I was like, holy shit! Like, you every 10 feet, there's another band playing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
I was like, holy shit! All the way, it was like a really nice night when we were there, and like all the windows and doors for like every bar was like open, and we're just like you're walking down the street, and it's just band. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
yeah, and those will be some of just the best musicians, like world-class musicians. They're so good.
Everyone we heard was great. I mean, we probably heard like 4 or 5 different bands from jumping around to where we were at, and I was like, holy shit!
And then
like,
and then the band that was there, like Glizzy,
yeah, that was the name of the band. We were at that bar the longest for sure. Yeah, they were.
So that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, so those places, like, are they like the band for that bar? Like,
no, so. How those bars work is they typically start their shows at 10 a.m. and they're 4-hour time slots.
Whoa, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. every single day, 365 days a year, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. And so...
For 4-hour block.
4-hour blocks, yeah. 10 a.m. and then you have, goes to 2, then you have, your 2 to 6, your 6 to 10, and then your 10 to close. And so typically that will be those... Every single block will have a different band, different players. And a lot of people will go to Nashville with the dream and go and play on Broadway, which is fine. However, those are very long time slots.
Yeah,
very
that's
long.
What him and I were talking about because we sat there for, at least 3 or 4 hours. We were at that one band or that one bar, and I was like, these guys haven't. I told him, I was like, dude, these guys haven't even taken a break. Like, they just keep going. They just keep playing songs, and like everything sounds great. But I'm like, just look up there, they're just drenched in sweat. And like, I'm like, damn, they're working.
Exhausted, just, and that's what it is. And, a lot of people will do two slots.
8-hour day right there,
and some people will do 3. And they do that every single day. And it is very easy to get burnt out. And it's very easy to also, if you're a singer, vocalist, it's really not recommended to sing more than 2 hours a day. And if you're singing for that long, it's a really quick way to lose your voice. And also the pay down there. I know that one location in specific is about $50 for a 4-hour time slot. $50, yeah.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, and they just hope that
someone's there.
They hope that tips will pay for it, but the best tips are Friday, Saturday. And if you're not playing Friday, Saturday, if you're playing Monday, Tuesday, chances are you're not really going to be making that much. And I mean, tips are great, if somebody gives you $100 bill, but you also have to split that 4 or 5 different ways, so it's one of those things to where, and it's very hard to get the good time slots. You have to be a regular. You have to be
And know somebody. Probably,
you have to know somebody, and then you also have to be really very good to be able to get those time slots of the Friday, Saturday. And while there are a lot of bars down there and such, it's tough. It really is. And there are places that pay better for sure. But I know a lot of places, $50, $100 for 4 hours, and that's just.
Yeah, and you're splitting
It's
that
not great.
4-way, 5-way.
Yeah, it's not great. So,
Such a rough night.
yeah, it is a tough night.
Yeah,
And
you gotta have
two,
another job.
yeah, and two, like chances are they're not paying for parking or validating because most of the lots down there are city parking.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and so you're paying
Got a
$30,
big-ass van
$40.
or whatever.
Yeah,
got a trailer with all your equipment. Oh,
$30,
wow.
$40
Yeah,
for
they're-
parking.
Can't just hop in an Uber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they just want the $50 you made for your
Yeah.
4 hours. So
You're
it's
just playing for a dream.
Yep. And you hope that people are there maybe to see you or whatnot. But I mean, a lot of the people that are actually in the industry avoid that place like the plague because it's so, loud and obnoxious. Drunk tourists, and it's fun. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
for sure.
But like the people that actually live there, they don't go down there very
That's a
often.
different. Yeah, that makes sense.
Unless they have to, but even if they have to, they're like, no, thank you, because it's a lot,
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, it was nice because we were staying over in the Gulch.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
The Gulch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was a lot quieter over there.
Yeah.
It was a lot
Mhm.
nicer. It was, but Broadway was insane.
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
it was wild.
Mhm.
We were walking around one night. We're like, man, Nashville just doesn't have any homeless people. And
then
we
you went to
walked
Broadway.
we're like, oh, here they are.
Here they are.
Yep. Yep.
They're smart. They want to listen to music.
Mm-hmm. No, and then that's literally that's something too, is that if you're a local, that you want to go to the places that there are not music because you're so tired, you're so ear fatigued of live music, So it's like we go to because there's Lower Broadway, which is Broadway that has all the bars and stuff, and then there's Upper Broadway, which is Midtown area by Vanderbilt. And that's the more local bars and stuff. That's where the actual industry people hang out. And that's where the bars that have no music are at. And you can actually hear each other talk and have a conversation and not scream at each other over like $15 beers.
Right.
So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely more my vibe. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like live music because it's not something I go see all the time. But I'm not a fan of bars where I can't even have a conversation.
Yeah.
For the most
Same.
part, I like to be able to just, because that's what I'm there for. I'm there to talk to people I came with for the most part, or talk to new people. But
I will say, surprisingly, St. Louis has a good amount of bars that have live just on the weekends. But there's any part of St. Louis that you go out to on a Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're going to run into live music somewhere.
Okay.
for the
Yeah.
most part, yeah.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I mean, at this point, it's all the same 5 bands that you always see. You got Dixie Delight, or Trixie's Delight.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Well Hungarians.
Yeah.
They're one of my
Heard of them.
they're good ones. But yeah, there's a handful of other ones that the 80s band. But yeah, but they're all rotating like the same
Yeah.
15 places on a weekend.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in Nashville, there's so many musicians and so many players that I meet somebody new every single time that I go out. It's crazy that it's just the amount of people that are in the industry and or trying to do the whole music thing is just insane there. And Nashville just can't keep up with the amount of people that are moving there. It's turning into a mini LA, which love Nashville, but it's
overpopulated.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The city was never built for that and for the influx of people and for the influx of people visiting. And so it's just disaster. We call it Crane City because you can't build out anymore. You got to build up. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see that here a lot too. I've seen a lot of cranes downtown.
Well, you mentioned the songwriting, so and that you go in as a labeled artist. You're sitting down for 4 hours at a time every
Right.
single day writing.
Mm-hmm.
What's your writing process like as an independent artist?
Yeah, so it really depends. I do like to write by myself, but I do really like to collaborate with other songwriters and artists and such as much as I possibly can. But as far as like if I'm writing by myself, for example, it kind of depends. Sometimes I'll start with just the idea for a hook for lyrics or such, something, write that down, and then whenever I can. Typically, I always get some random idea about something at like 3 a.m. or when I'm in the shower. And I'm like, well, this is unfortunate. And then I forget it when I get out of the shower and I'm like,
Do you know why that is? It's because like I've heard this people talk about this before, but I think it happens to a lot of us when we're like trying to go to sleep or when we're like in the shower because it's like one
Yeah.
of the only times nowadays where we have no other input. Like
Yeah.
we're not on our phones, we're not like distracted by other things. You're literally just in there showering, focusing on whatever. But like that's why ideas come in. Same thing when you're like laying in bed. You're literally laying there doing nothing. You're not looking at your phone. You're not looking at all these things because it's rare nowadays where we get that. Because
Right.
I mean, we're all just constantly looking down at our hands, and yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and so I will get, random ideas and stuff in the shower. And so I start taking my phone with me to the shower because that was a problem that I had that I would forget when I finally got out of the shower what it was that I was trying to write down. And I was like, man, that was a good one. Lost it though.
They
and
make
could
these,
never
like,
remember.
waterproof like notepads.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I've heard a guy I was listening to on a podcast talking about that. He was a comedian, but talking about ideas would come to him in the shower, and so he has like a sticks to the wall in there in the shower, and so like if an idea comes to him, he can write it down real quick.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's why I started taking my phone to the shower because I was like, I'm not going to forget any of these ideas that I have anymore. And so I'll always have like my notes app. Or there'll be so many voice memos of me just like humming something and you hear in the background. And so like if I ever play it for like somebody that I'm co-writing with, they're like, where are you? I'm in the shower.
Just go with it.
Just ignore that. But yeah, so I mean, sometimes it does start with like lyrics ideas like that. Sometimes it'll start with music if I'm just, if I like carve out some time and be like, hey, I'm sitting down, I'm writing. Then I'll pick out some chords that I like and like just try to find a vibe of, all right, what are we talking about today sort of thing. So that definitely helps a lot too.
What comes first, the music or the lyrics?
Again, it really depends. It's very like mood dependent for me. Sometimes I have a lot to say and other times I have nothing to say and I'm just like, well, I guess I will just pick out some chords and run with it. Or there is one good thing from AI is that you can just be like, give me a sad, unhappy vibe, and you'll hear it'll give you whatever it is.
The melody.
Yes. Or just some sort of vibe to get you going and be like, okay, cool. And then get you in like the right frame of things. And then I'll grab my guitar and be like, okay, I like these chords. And then it'll kind of like, get something going, or I'll just listen to songs that I like. Typically they will be metal songs. And so I'll be like, I really like this vibe. How can I countrify this, sort of thing.
Can I countrify it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of writing, you said something a while back that I wanted to stop you, but you're on a roll. What is a writer's round?
Yeah, so a writer's round is they're pretty much every single night in Nashville. And they are at different bars and such. So it's basically where 3 or 4 songwriters will get up on stage and they will take turns singing songs. Typically you'll sing around 3 or 4 songs each and it'll just be for the hour. And they'll typically, if it's a pretty big writers round, they'll have 12 to 16 songwriters in a night. It's a 4-hour show. And so people will just go down and sing their songs, be like, hey, I wrote this song, blah, 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 blah. Tell you a little bit about it, sing it, next person goes. And sometimes you will see like people that have like really big cuts. Last songwriters round I went to, I saw this guy and he was like, I wrote this song for Kenny Chesney and he cut it and blah, blah, blah. And then he'll sing, a Kenny Chesney song that was on the radio. It's pretty cool because you can hear, number one, unreleased music. You can hear music that is, like I said, on the radio that big artists have cut. And then also it's a great networking event for songwriters to be like, oh, I really like that song that this person wrote. Be cool to write with them. Maybe we should write together sometime. And it's also good for music industry people to hear new music that's coming out and see new artists and such.
Okay, so do they like help each other with like asking for advice, or is it just you play the song, people listen?
Yeah, you just play the song, people listen to it. And it's in so many different bars, like I said, every single night in Nashville. Mm-hmm. And especially in that area that I called Midtown by Vanderbilt, that a lot of the bars will do big writers rounds and such. And I've done a million of them.
Now, are those open to the public, or is it just like artists only?
Yeah, most of them are open to the public. There's one that's not at the listening room, which is a really big writers round type thing. But it's also, they kind of have their own shows. And so you have to buy a ticket for those, and they're, promoted by the listening room and all that fun stuff. But they will get big songwriters in that actually have really big cuts with some of the bigger artists and such. And so, there's something for everyone when it comes to writers rounds. You got your small ones, you got your big ones, and you have full band writers rounds as well. Which there's a big one called Whiskey Jam. If y'all have ever heard of that one? It's probably the biggest full band one in Nashville. And it's a full band, so they'll give you 3 or 4 songs to play with your band up on stage, and it's just it's almost like a mini showcase of sorts. And a lot of people go to that one, as well as music industry people as well.
Sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah, no, that one's fun, and that one's held at I think it's held at Dirk's. I think it's held at Dirk's Bentley's.
That's where we
That's
were.
where we were,
That's where we were.
Yeah. That one's the second floor of Dirk's.
Okay.
Yeah, every Sunday. Oh, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe possibly. I think it's either once or twice a week. But they have then they'll have big names out there too, people that are signed and stuff every so often. So it's cool. Nashville is also a really cool spot for that, because you never know who you're meeting, you never know who you're going to see, and you never know people will have surprise guests here and there, performing and whatnot. And it's one of those towns where you'll just go and see Luke Combs at the grocery store, sort of thing. So.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it really cutthroat, or is there a lot of collaboration that goes on, or how is that as an artist down there?
Yeah. In Nashville, it's a lot more family kind of vibe. In LA, when I lived there, that was cutthroat, and somebody will step on you, stab you in the back just to make it to, the next rung to get whatever you got going on, which that was really unfortunate. And that's one of the reasons why I moved from LA. But Nashville, there's definitely a big family vibe. People are looking to help. People are looking to collaborate. People are looking to, hey, I can't take this gig. You want it, sort of thing. And so people are really, really nice in Nashville. And don't get me wrong, it is still cutthroat. It is still the music industry. There are, your bad apples. There are, certain things that just are tough about the music industry, and especially when it comes to the business side of things. But I will say it's a lot more welcoming in Nashville for sure.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a time or a specific performance that stands out? Hey, this was just hands down one of the best performances that you've done, or just any experience from being on the road that just wow, this was just incredible.
Yeah. Obviously, the John Party one that I talked about, that was the biggest show that I've ever played, and they took such great care of us. I mean, it's one of those moments where it was a ballpark, so they gave me a Savannah Rae jersey. They gave me a Savannah Rae bat, custom made, took really nice care of us. And I was like, wow, I feel cool for a second. This is dope, sort of thing. And then the Jason Aldean one, which was definitely one of my favorites. And then other than that, I played the Texas State Fair last year, which I've been going to the Texas State Fair for forever. I grew up going there, and I remember about 12 years ago, I took a video of the Chevy main stage, and I was like, one of these days I'm going to play this stage. I don't know when, but I'm going to do it. And I actually got to play it last year.
There's something to that.
Yeah, it really is. No, really
Yeah.
is. And it's just I got to put the side by side of that video, because I still had that video.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was from the deep dark depths of I re-downloaded Snapchat and everything to go get it from in my Snapchat memories and stuff. And so I put the side by side of that, and it was just so cool to see that, while it did take me however long to get there, I still got there. And it was just such a cool show to be a part of. And it's in my state. I'm from Texas. It's a big Texas thing, so it's the biggest stage in Texas. And so it was just really cool for me to be able to play that stage. So that was probably a big career defining moment for me personally. It wasn't as big as far as attendance goes as the other shows that I had played, but that was just really cool. It was just something that I wanted to check off on my list. Other than that, I mean, I was able to sing the national anthem for the president, just different
That's
stuff
so
like
cool.
that.
Which one?
The current president.
That's great.
The current one.
That's cool.
And it's regardless of how you feel about it, whatever, left, right, middle, whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Cool.
matter.
It's
It's
a
still the
thing. It's still a
president.
cool thing to do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
still the
regardless.
president. So it's just different stuff like that as an independent artist, I feel I would have never been able to do. I just got lucky or something, and I mean, it's not all luck, obviously there's a lot of hours and work and everything going into it. But some of it is luck, you know. You just happen to be in the right time at the right moment. And I got to open up for Jelly Roll
cool.
not too long ago on a beachside show, like literally like 20 feet from the beach in Fort Lauderdale.
Sweet.
And so different shows like that, you're just like, wow, this is so cool. That really kind of like put it into perspective, like, wow, this is like my life. This is something that I get to do and get to be a part of and stuff. And then also, like I said, I have my band always traveling with me too. And it's fun to experience that with like people that you're really close with. So it's, we're just full steam ahead pretty much.
Do you have a bucket, like a musical bucket list, or as an artist bucket list that you want to accomplish, that you're looking to accomplish?
Like a venue or something?
Yeah, so I would say the one that I am actually going to do in February 20th, there's a dance hall in Green, Texas called Green Hall. And it's the oldest running dance hall in Texas. It's the most popular venue in Texas. It's a tiny little place, probably holds maybe 500 people. But it is held in very high regard, held in very high esteem. And so it's just one of those places that if you know, you know, to other like people, they're like, oh, cool, a little dance hall, whatever, you know, but if you know, you know. And so I'm actually playing that in February 20th. So I'm really excited for that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. And then the other one would be Red Rocks.
Oh, yeah.
I've always wanted to play Red Rocks. I've never been there. I lived in Colorado and I never got the chance to actually go out and see a show. But I would love to go play Red Rocks.
Yeah, that's a legendary venue.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then of course there's, you know, the Nashville typicals, the Opry, the Ryman, all that fun stuff. But for sure, really any of those four.
Yeah, we'll get there.
One of these days.
Speak it into existence.
I mean, we did the state fair,
Yeah,
so
it's gonna happen, dude. It'll happen. Like I'm a true believer in like the manifestation. Like you speak things into your reality. Like,
100%.
I've seen it happen too many times in my own life to not like believe that. There's something there. So.
No, 100%. I remember I was in California and we were at Universal Studios, and there they have a Universal Studios backlot tour where you can go behind the scenes of all the TV shows and different stuff that they have going, like The Voice, NBC, different shows and whatnot. And it's really cool to see from a just that perspective of, wow, the LA lights and the glamour and the TV shows and all that fun stuff. And I remember turning to my mom during this backlot tour. I was like, I'm going to go do something on this set. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to do it. And she was like, okay, sweetie. Yeah. And then I remember literally like a month later, I get a phone call. It's like, hey, do you want to sing backup for somebody on a TV show? I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. They didn't tell me who the artist was. And I was like, okay. And so I get there to like the rehearsal, and it turned out to be Demi Lovato. And I was like, okay, sweet. And so I ended up doing some shows with her. We did like the American Music Awards. We did like The Voice. We did, you know, a bunch of different stuff together. But it's like, I actually got to go to The Voice, which was filmed on that backlot tour. And as I'm being carted on my little, I almost said golf cart. On my little golf cart going to catering, feeling real special over there. I saw like the Universal Studios backlot tour, and I was like, holy moly, I was on the other side just like a month ago, and now I'm over here. And it's like,
did you take a picture and send it to your mom? Be like, I told you.
I did. No, literally, I did. And I literally had like one of those outer body experiences of like, holy moly, this is insane. Like, had like one singular tear. Like it was so cool though, because it really, manifestation really does work.
It works.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I've
telling you,
seen it in action.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a true believer in it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an artist, dead or alive, that would be like a bucket list person to either like write with or play with?
George Strait.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, he's my favorite of all time. Oh yes. Yeah. I saw him in Jacksonville, and he played with Little Big Town, Chris Stapleton, and him, and I cried. I cried like a little girl. He's like my absolute favorite. Like, I love George Strait, but I also like want to be George Strait. Like, he's just like, also in Texas too, he's basically like Texas royalty. Like, I used to live down the street from him and technically see him at like HEB, which is our grocery store.
Okay.
And then like throwback, my dad used to park his cars like at the country club. Cool. My mom was in the same friend group as his daughter was before she passed. And so she would get like garage George Strait little concerts, like campfire George Strait little
that's awesome.
concerts, and
That's
I was
really cool.
I was so jealous.
So cool.
But
Like just sitting around a campfire while George Strait's sitting there playing guitar and singing.
and and my mom's 13 years old. She don't know who George Strait was. She's like,
Right.
oh yeah, that's just George. He does music.
He's pretty good at the guitar.
he does music.
He sounds
know.
good.
Yeah, and so later on, she was like, "Oh, George, yeah, that was George Strait." Yeah,
That's cool.
but yeah. So he's my favorite, and then obviously, I don't know what it would sound like. I would love to collaborate with like metal
Hell yeah, dude. I think that's
bands.
cool.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like you could do whatever you wanted. You could
Yeah.
totally sing for a metal band.
I mean,
know, like-
yeah,
or, like,
something
to metal music. Like,
something like that would
you
be
got a
really
pretty voice. I
cool.
listened to several of your songs.
Yeah,
Really,
yeah.
you
Thank
know?
you, thank you. Yeah, I mean, like Asking Alexandria, Danny Warsnop, he does country music all the time. He lives in Nashville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so he will kind of go back and forth between that. I don't know if you know the band Lakeview. They're kind of a country rock metal vibe, very different, very like Hardy-esque. They live in Nashville too. A lot of people actually live in Nashville, which is kind of cool. Maddie Mullins, some Memphis Mayfire, all those folk live in Nashville, and
It's like the lead singer from Stained. What was his?
Aaron Lewis.
Aaron Lewis. Yeah,
Mhm.
he did his own solo album. And I
Yeah,
believe that was country.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
listening to Bill Murray a lot. They kind of
Yeah, I love Bill Murray.
They kind of got like a country, like some of their songs have
Yeah.
like a twang to them.
And he does a lot with country artists too. Like he has a song with Dylan Marlowe, which
Hardy, I think. too.
yeah. They all kind of collaborate. And then Cody Keystad, which I always say his freaking last name wrong, but he's from Rage War. If you look at a lot of kind of that country rock vibe from different artists, like Jelly Roll, different stuff like that, Lakeview, you will see Cody listed as a songwriter on so many different songs, especially ones that are like on the radio and such. And so it's really cool because in Nashville specifically, there's so much different music in Nashville that I don't think it gets a lot of credit for. Everyone's like, oh, country music, which, yeah, of course. But there's a lot of rock artists that live in Nashville because they wanted somewhere to go moving out of LA. Like Johnny Hawkins from Nothing More, who's also from San Antonio. I know him, and he's out there in Nashville as well. And so it's just all these people that wanted to escape LA came to Nashville, and, they're really bringing their sound with them and writing, and it's definitely coming out in what is currently being played on the radio, whether that be the highway or on Octane.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Wow. So now, how do you plan on remaining independent, or how does that work? Like, if you like, do you plan on remaining independent, or do you like
Signing
hope?
with the label.
Do you want to sign with the label eventually? Is like, how does that work?
I plan to remain independent for as long as I can, but ultimately, if you are going to be having big tours, if you are going to be, doing the big league sort of thing, it is beneficial to sign to a label because there are so many jobs that you can't handle all yourself. When it comes to not just the music production, but the marketing, when it comes to the radio tours, when it comes to just radio itself, different people that you kind of need on your team because, again, you can't do it all yourself. It's kind of impossible. And so, but the key to that is trying to remain independent for as long as possible, trying to really grow your brand, grow your social media following, because that is a big thing, unfortunately, nowadays is social media. And just try to have as many different chips to bargain with so that you get the best deal that you possibly can, because a lot of label deals, when you sign too early, they are not super beneficial for the artist. And it's tough. Well, because most of them, if you are given an advance, say you're given an advance of $200,000, that's an advance. It's a loan.
Yeah.
That's not actually your money. It's $200,000 hoping that your album does well, or that, you help that label make that certain amount of money back. And then also too, they will sometimes sign you to multiple album deals, and you have to produce those albums, and it's like, sometimes.
I'm sure that could be, you feel kind of rushed and this isn't my best, but I had to get something out.
And then sometimes, you lose some of that individuality because of the fact that you are signed to a label that when you're an independent artist, you can do whatever you want.
You gotta be commercialized.
Yeah. Maybe put out some stuff that you're not 100% behind, but the label really likes it. So, you give them, an album that you're not 100% sold on, and every so often they'll maybe throw you a bone of like a song that you actually want to put out.
Person that comes to mind, because I'm a huge fan of him, is Eric Church.
Mhm.
I feel like his first couple albums that he came out with were very commercialized.
Yeah.
And now the stuff that he comes out with is what he really wanted to do, which is
Mhm.
that country rock.
Right.
And I mean, his stuff now is, I mean, obviously commercialized, it's poppy, it's very catchy.
Mhm.
But I love his stuff now. It's so good.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that is something that happens a lot too to a lot of artists, that if you just want to get signed to a label, you will get signed to a label and you will do basically whatever they want until pretty much you'll do basically whatever they want until you can get to a point of, number one, you are actually making money and not just handing it back to the label to pay them back for whatever they're doing, but making money, have a leg to stand on as far as if you put out music, will people listen to it? Like no matter what sort of thing, just because it's your name attached to it. And then just also putting out music that you might want to put out. I know that that's a lot of what happens to a lot of artists, because they will get into the label deals, put out whatever the label wants, and then years down the road, they'll be like, okay, I can finally put out the stuff that I want to put out, and maybe people will listen to it, and then, not saying this is what happened to him, but like sort of like how Hardy went from, more of the pop kind of Morgan Wallen type-esque songs to now he's doing, the country metal thing, because that's actually what he wanted to do. Granted, he was a songwriter, so, he was writing the more Morgan Wallen type stuff. But, it took him a little bit to get to put out that kind of music. So.
Well, you being independent, is there anything that you've ever done like that, like for example, like that a label wouldn't let you do?
I think that my genre right now is very different for a lot of labels. Namely because, especially in Nashville, a lot of I'm specifically talking about the females in music and such, is that a lot of them are blonde hair, blue eyed, and it is what it is. People love blonde hair, blue eyed, all American Nashville girly that sings the kind of country pop ish, and
not my cup of tea.
and well, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's just that was what had been presented to us for so long. And so then it's like, oh, all of a sudden we have maybe some brunettes, but then they would still be singing the pop country. And so for me, specifically, my area is I'm dark hair. I look different. I wear different clothes than a lot of people in Nashville, and I have a different sound as far as like the country rock. It's rock, or it's country with an edge. And then I also do a little bit of Spanish as well on the side. So it's like I have all these different things that a lot of people aren't doing. And so there's a lane wide open. But the problem with that is the lane is so wide open that it's kind of hard to get people to believe in the vision. And so I feel like I've really had to like prove myself to be like, okay, yes, like this is, I think people could be interested in this. And, for years it was just a lot of no's, like, no, it's too different. No, it's not commercialized enough. And nowadays it's, okay, we can kind of see it now, but you need more of this, but you need more of this. It's always, but you need more. And so, one of these days it'll be all hunky dory, and I'm sure they'll maybe understand at that point in time what I'm trying to like put out there, what I'm trying to do. But it's one of those things to where it is a machine, and I get it that they are a business. Labels are, they have to make money, and I get that. But also, it's very number reliant nowadays as far as social media and going viral on TikTok. And like I said, most of the viral videos that you see from artists are not organically viral. I know very few people that have actually had organic success off of TikTok. And it's most of them are paid for by either ads, or they'll hire different influencers to post with their video. You throw an influencer $5,000 to post
something on their story or something.
Something on their story, or post a video with your song, and just hopes that people will hear it, and different kind of things like that. Different playlisting. People will pay playlists on Spotify to put their song up there. And so it's just like, it's all a numbers game. It really is. And that's why I said, if you know somebody coming into the industry, you're already 12 steps ahead of the people that don't. If you have the money to back you up, if you have, either your family is supporting you or you have a investor, that'll give you $200,000 to go and record your music and market it and get it out there, you're 20 steps ahead of other people. And chances are you're going to get, to that label deal that you may want a lot quicker, because that's what labels respond to, is numbers. Which is unfortunate. It's not so much about like talent or anything anymore. Because I know some incredibly talented people, super talented people that have 2,000 followers and no one's heard of them before. And it doesn't matter though, because it doesn't matter. You could be the most talented person in the world. You'd have the best song ever. No one will listen to it if they don't know that it exists, pretty much. So it makes sense. It's just kind of the name of the game, and it's kind of unfortunate that it stopped being about talent and like seeing bands and stuff and be like, wow, I saw this band, like Sunset Strip kind of style. Like, I saw this band at the Viper Room and I'm going to sign them to a development deal. Development deals don't exist anymore. It's not really a thing anymore. It's it's like, it's very different than how it used to be.
Excuse my ignorance. What's a development?
So a development deal is kind of different from a record deal, as in it will, instead of a full blown record deal, 5 albums or something for X amount of money over X amount of years. A development deal will be, okay, we'll give you maybe a year or 2 years, give us a few songs, maybe an album, maybe, kind of depends. We'll test the waters. We'll develop you as an artist. We'll work on your brand. We'll work on your social media. We'll work on really defining who you are. Those were more so for helping artists to figure out who they were and putting money behind their talent, because they saw the talent, they saw the potential, but they're just trying to support them in that way to see if something can happen, to grow with them as an artist and whatnot, and as a company, like almost like a symbiotic relationship. But nowadays it doesn't exist. The labels kind of want you to have everything already. They want you to have an album. They want you to have an 8 to 12 song album, fully done, fully mixed, mastered, the whole 9 yards, plus a look, a brand, plus shows on the horizon, possibly a booking agent, which is almost kind of impossible to get if you don't already have a label. It's kind of like a catch-22 thing. And then they want you to basically be a finished product before they sign you, which is crazy, because that used to be what
the development deal,
the development part of it. And so the development is pretty much all up to us now, which again, social media is great and allows you to really put your music out there and be heard by people that would have not been able to hear you before. From here to China, people are able to hear your music, which is great. But with that comes it being mostly about numbers now. And there's people that will pay for fake numbers. They'll pay for fake streams, fake followers, fake likes, fake this, that, and the other. And record companies are now coming out with technology to be able to spot that as well. Yeah, Spotify has an internal server that will go through and look at every single stream off of your song. And if there's a little bit of a jump, it'll look at it. And like if there's a little bit of a jump of, say, 2,000 people just randomly listen to your song on a Tuesday, they're going to be like, and go and go in and look at it a little bit deeper.
And from the same account, they've just been playing it on repeat for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But it's and they will ding you for that, and they it will hurt your account, and they won't put you on certain playlists and whatnot. And even like the big playlists that you see that are curated by Spotify, most of the time you have to know somebody to get on there. I don't know very many independent artists that are on there that are not involved in some sort of label, in some sort of really great distributor that is distributing your music, and have like those connections to get you there. So it's tough. It really is, for people that are just kind of trying to do like the grassroots thing and the old, go out there and play and road dog it, sort of thing, which is why one of my favorite artists is Coetzel, and I do have a lot of respect for him in that regard, because he road dogged it for 10 years, just playing everywhere and anywhere he could, and he built his fan base organically, And he was not overnight, that's for sure.
Do you still think the getting out there and just playing your music is the best way to build your fan base and your brand, or do you feel like now it's more social media based?
I think if you can do both, that's kind of like the sweet spot. It's finding that balance though is the hardest part of, trying to play as many shows as I can has always been a big thing for me because I love playing live, especially with my band. That's like my bread and butter. It's always like what I've loved the most. Especially just kind of, it tailors to the kind of music I do, which is that upbeat country rock. I like a big fun show. And so I've always loved that the most. So not only is it fun for me, but it's also, good getting my name out there. But with social media, it is really, really important to, the venues itself to book you and be like, okay, well, can you sell tickets? Well, here are my numbers from, these are how many impressions I got from this area or whatnot. So it is really important to do the whole social media thing too, because labels in the music industry, people do look at your numbers and your followers and your Spotify listeners, and you can't get Spotify listeners unless you're actively promoting your stuff online.
Is there a particular platform that they want to see do better on than others? Like, is Instagram the big one? Is it TikTok?
From what I know, it's Instagram, yeah, sure, but mostly TikTok and Spotify. TikTok and Spotify are the biggest ones, namely because Apple Music doesn't show you amount of streams. Apple Music is big, but it doesn't show you amount of streams. The only platform that I know of that's of the big ones, I guess, that shows you streams is Spotify. So you automatically have something to compare to.
Yeah, under every song.
There's a number.
Yeah.
And under every video there's a number, under every post there's a number, so it's the numbers unfortunately mean a lot.
Numbers don't
No, well, sometimes they do.
I guess, yeah, that's true. If you're buying your followers, you're buying
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but it is the name of the game. And from a label standpoint, I get that they are a business too. So
I couldn't. I bet this has to be totally mentally and emotionally taxing and exhausting. How do you handle that mentally and emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of artists go through a stage called burnout, and I've actually experienced that this year for the first time in my entire life. And I've always been like, okay, I gotta, do this, I gotta do this, and just someone to get like easily overwhelmed, whatever. But you still buckle down and do it. Burnout is very different from the fact of like, you are just so not wanting to do anything. You have no motivation. Even if you love music, music could be your favorite thing in the entire world. When you get burnt out from the industry, is a little different. I can never be burnt out from music, but you can be burnt out from the industry, because of the million of things you have to do as an independent artist and all the different hats you have to wear and things you have to take care of. It can just be very overwhelming. And then also to the industry itself, it's just a million no's. And it is until you get that one yes that matters. But after a million no's, it kind of sucks. And so it's tough. And eventually most artists will go through a little stage of burnout, whether that be earlier in their career, whether that be, they could be selling out stadiums and they just might be burnt out. It really kind of depends. And it's different for everybody. But I actually experienced that this year, which is some setbacks and things that, I had grand plans for this year and a lot of it just didn't happen. And that's really tough. And it is what it is. And it's a more just feeling like you literally don't want to do anything. Like you just have no motivation to do any of the music. As far as I still play and everything, I still be fine doing that. But as far as like the music side of things of posting and really like hitting it hard and really booking hard and emails, phone calls, the whole 9 yards. It's been a lot, but it has been 14 years of my life. So I was probably due for a little bit of a burnout at some point in time.
Get a good run.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. But
once every 14 years. Shit.
Yeah.
That's, right.
That's not bad.
No. Not too bad at all.
Yeah. So we're getting on the other side of things. It's hard to get back into the swing of things when you are so burnt out. You're just like, man, the industry. It beats you down, and it really does. But I always think of there's this one meme, which is so silly. It's a meme, though, of like this one guy who's mining for diamonds, and he gives up right when he's just about to get it. And I'm like,
Just that like little Larry's
Yeah.
got scraped through, and there they
Mhm.
are. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. But it's silly, but it's like it's such a deeper meaning behind it. And you're like, dang, because you just never know. Because also too, I was talking about this like last night. You don't want to go later on down the road and be like, what if, sort of thing. That's so, you get back into the groove of things. It just takes a little bit.
That's awesome.
Savannah, this has been great having you in here.
Yeah,
Really
thank
appreciate
you.
your time and making time for us. Is there anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
No, I mean, I have a show tonight, so we're going to do that. But after that, like I said, playing in some Texas shows in February and whatnot. Green Hall, February 20th. I have some new music out called Hater's Dream. So that is, like I said, Hater's Dream. So it's basically a song kind of about almost like anti-bullying stuff. And so that's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart. And then pretty much I just have merch and everything on my website is thesavannahrae.com. All my social media is at thesavannahrae. Try to make it easy for everybody. Savannah, just like Savannah, Georgia, in RAE. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, we do end the show the same way every time. So before we get you out of here, Pat's got one last question.
Play a little game. We call it the Tombstone game. Here lies Savannah. What's it say on your tombstone?
Oh, man. What does it say on my tombstone? We could go deep or we could just go stupid.
Either one, whichever one you
Whichever
want.
one you want.
I have this one sweater that says, hang in there, it gets worse.
That's good.
That's one of my favorites. But no, what would it say on my tombstone? Oh my gosh, that's so good. I've never been asked this question before. It would probably say something cheesy like sister, daughter, lover of music, something like that. But I would have it say something along the lines of, do what makes you happy. I think that that's something that has always been really, it's a big thing in my life. Because it's like, do what makes you happy. Who cares what other people say? There are other people. They're not paying your bills. They're not, for the most part, unless it's like your mom or something, they don't matter to your life, sort of thing. So it's like, do what makes you happy. And I would probably write something like that on my tombstone. Did what made her happy.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
Something like that.
Very cool.
That's perfect. Well, thanks again for your time.
Yes.
This
Thank
was really
you.
great getting to know you.
Good luck at your show tonight.
Thank
good
you.
luck. Yes,
Thank
of
you. Thank you.
course.
Thank you.
Safe travels, too.
Yeah,
It's
it's
snowing out there.
wild out there.
Yeah. And thanks to everybody at home that watched or listened to this episode. If you could hit that subscribe button for us, that would help us out a ton. Pat and I are trying to get to 500 on YouTube before the end of 2025, and we're creeping up there. We're getting close. So help us hit that goal. Share this episode with a friend. Comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.